How is everybody doing today? Nomad here. In today's video, I wanted to go over things that I would like to see in Sons of the Forest. Now, these are going to be things implemented from the first title and brought into Sons of the Forest, as well as some new things I would like to see. Really quickly, guys, drop a like on the video. It helps me and the channel grow, and subscribe. We're still on the way to 5,000 subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you guys. But without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Now, first off, we're going to start with some simple ones, and then they will get more weird and complex as we go down the line. But some of them are speculation as well, and we'll just have to see how the development process of Sons of the Forest goes. But first off, we have GPS navigation. Now, to be honest with you, this is just a quality of life addition. Nothing really to it and not necessarily needed. It would just be a simple addition to the GPS that I'd like to see. Now, I think navigating the world in this game is fairly easy once you've been acquainted with it, so it's not necessary, but it would be kind of a cool thing added in, kind of like Green Hell has. I think it's a fantastic implementation. Next off, we're going to talk about fire arrows. Now, this item as well was implemented in the first title. Fire is super powerful in these games. Molotov cocktails can absolutely destroy brutes and fingers. And from an immersion standpoint, and just the fact that I think it's completely awesome, I would like to see this again in Sons of the Forest. Now, in the first title, you could either light the arrow with a lighter or walk by a standing fire or any fire source, and it would auto light. This is a great tool for base defense if you're being raided, and when you're in caves, not only will it light the enemy up, but it also will illuminate the surrounding area, and it's just an easier way to get fire towards the enemy a lot faster and easier. Next off, and I really think this is going to be implemented into the title at some point, but multi-place blueprints. Now, what I mean by this is, if you all remember from the first game, if controller crouch was held while placing any blueprint in the game, it gave us the ability to continue placing without having to pull the survival book back out. Again, this is just a quality of life, and I believe it will be implemented at some point in Sons of the Forest future. It just made placing furniture a lot quicker, whether that be chairs, torches, skull lamps, or even when we were placing skins on walls, it was a lot easier. Even when you're placing storage and dry racks, instead of placing one, pulling out the book again, placing another one, we were able to just constantly place them, and it was a lot faster. Now, the next few things I would like implemented have to do directly with crafting and building. As you guys know, currently in the game, defensive walls, in my opinion at least, are probably the hardest and most tedious task to build when you're creating a build. Now, in the forest, we had blueprints, and that is how all the building was conducted in the game. Place blueprint, stretch it to size and shape you wanted, and then just gather the material needed. Well, with the new system of building, which I think is amazing to say the least, I'm eager and excited to see how they will implement all the old and new building structures. I would like to see some way of constructing defensive walls faster. Now, I'm not saying let's just have a blueprint for it. I actually don't want Sons of the Forest to be like this. I don't want them to go down that same route. I do think blueprints should be in the game, but I don't think everything should be a blueprint, because it would change up the pace of building and crafting in general. I like the modular system. I think it builds on the creativity, and it may take builds a lot longer to complete, but at the end of the day, I feel like the satisfaction is there. Maybe a way they can implement this is to place 2 logs at a time. You have 2 on your shoulder. You could place 2 logs at a time, or place a section at a time and throw logs into it. Kind of like how the tree houses are. You know, it is a blueprint, but maybe we could place 4 defensive walls together at once, and then you just throw logs into it. I'm excited to see what Night is going to be bringing to the table when it comes to the implementation of specific crafting things. Now, speaking of that, let's move on to one of the things that I know the community is super thrilled about and excited, as am I, rock walls. Now, rock walls really elevated and added so much to builds. I'm just curious how this will come into play in Sons of the Forest. Maybe the ability to place multiple rocks or a section at a time, as long as you have the materials, or 5 rocks equals 1 length of wall, and you could build out and up from that. So you're able to place 5 at a time, 5 next to that, and then you can go 5 high to get your height for the wall. It's going to be weird. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to implement this with the modular building system for rock walls, because I cannot imagine them having us place 1 rock at a time. It would be way too tedious, but who knows? We kind of already have to do that with a defensive wall. We'll have to see what they have in store for that one. Next off, I want to categorize this as miscellaneous crafting. Now, what I mean by this, I'm talking about the SOS sign, expandable garden plots, storage systems like the rock, bone, stick, and arrow holders. They all gave you the ability to make them expandable and make them bigger, to hold more, to be able to have the garden plots have a different size so you can plant bigger things. I think this would be a cool implementation. I don't know if they're going to do it. They probably have ideas for this. We will see. Another big one that I know the community is super interested in, and I know this will for sure come to the game at some point. It didn't come into the first title for a long time after its initial release, but we're talking about effigies here. Now, in Sons of the Forest, they're actually called totems. These things were just fun to build with the ability to just make what you wanted and how you wanted. You were able to take any body part, rotate it, place it on a stick. They had pre-made blueprint effigies, and then they had the custom effigy, and you can do whatever you want with it, and then you could light it on fire. It's aesthetic for the build, and it actually worked in scaring the cannibals off. Currently, I don't think that mechanic is in Sons of the Forest, but I think it's supposed to be in there, but it's a little bit buggy currently in its state. But again, I know these will make a return at some point. We will just have to wait and see. Now, this next one's a little weird, but since the game is more modern, I think this is and can be easily implemented. The ability to take cots and tents down and bring them with you or back to your base. So we currently have the bed as well as the tarp structure where you put the tarp down, you put a stick in it, and you can have a save point, you can sleep. Now there's cots and tents around the island, and they actually move around. You can bump into them, at least the cots, you can bump into them and drag them about. But I do think it would be awesome if we could take down the tent, take down the cot, throw it in our pack, bring it back to base with us, and place it. Just for an aesthetic purpose, to be honest with you, you know, the bed is awesome and the tarp structure is awesome, but I think it'd be awesome aesthetic wise to be able to use the cot and the tent in your builds, you know, make a camping area, things like that. Now, this next one I've talked a lot about here on the channel. You guys know the boat motors the brute cannibals use as a weapon. They absolutely annihilate stuff. They destroy their entire camp with them. They absolutely can destroy you with them. Well, imagine the ability to strap these babies onto any of the numerous blow-up wooden or metal boats around the island and basically be able to have your own raft. Now, I do believe boats and rafts will come in, and I have speculated that this is going to be implemented at some point, but we will have to see. I like speculation. I like coming up with ideas and seeing if it will be implemented at some point in the title. So this is one of them. Being able to use the motors, put them on a boat, fly around the island. Now imagine you, Calvin, in Virginia, and you'll just be flying up and down the waterways in luxury on one of these boats. And the biggest thing about this, and one of the complaints a lot of the player base had with the first game, is a lot of the waterways and lakes were not connected to the ocean in the first title. Well, in Sons of the Forest, 90% of, if not all of them, are connected to the ocean. I'm not saying you're going to be able to have access to every lake in the game from the ocean, because as you guys know, some of the streams go upwards and then there's a waterfall. Can't technically access it. But if we think about the backside of the island, the part of the island where nothing currently is in the game, the only thing that's there is the end game bunker, and a few caves are kind of in that region. Those waterways are super open. There's 2 islands on their own with a huge waterway in between them. I really think they're going to do a lot with section of the map, and just having a raft or a boat in that area would be absolutely fantastic. It'd be amazing to be able to just fly through those waterways in those cliff areas, and you're just flying on a boat, or you have a massive raft build. That's your base. Your base is literally just a raft. That's all it is. Just cruising around. You can jump off, get to land, go into some caves, fight cannibals, get bones, whatever it may be, materials, jump back on your raft. Now, guys, there is so many more things I could have added in this video, like the log sled, numerous other blueprints that existed before. Poison weapons, I really don't want to come back because they didn't have a purpose. So if they have a purpose this time, maybe potentially upgraded weapons. I don't really know. We have a ton of weapons currently in the game, so I don't think that's completely necessary. But like I said, there are so many things that could be added that I could have said in this video, but I kind of shortened it down a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about any of the ideas I had, any of the concepts. As we know, some of these items are going to come into the game at some point. Certain blueprints, rock walls, things like that. Let me know if you have any ideas of things that you would like implemented, maybe from the first game or new items. I would love to hear everything down in the comments below. I appreciate you guys for checking out the video. Drop a like on it if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe. We're still on the road to 5,000 subscribers. You guys are absolutely killing it, and I would love to have you in the community. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. And as always, guys, stay happy, stay hyped, and have a beautiful day.